Welcome. Today is going to be a powerful Free Friday Q&A for Advocacy and Hope. I am Amy Post. I created Advocacy and Hope recently. This is a huge endeavor for me, but I am super excited to start today's show because there's been a lot of great questions coming in, and I really want to just dig in and dive into, who this has been built for and kind of what everything looks like in regards to advocacy and hope. So for those of you who are tuning in that don't know me, my name is Amy Post. I've been in outside medical sales for about 20 years. And I came to a crossroad in my life about almost 2 years ago, this October. So, a little over a year and a half, where I just wasn't sure where my life was going. I kept having these deep desires and just, intuitions and gut feelings that there was something more. I absolutely love medical sales. I'm still in it. But I needed something else. There was something else that was just digging at me that I couldn't figure out what was happening. And I really needed to kind of explore that, but it was really scary. Anything in regards to change is exceptionally difficult, I think, for most of us, if we are, to really kind of be honest with ourselves. So I was very successful in medical sales, always at the top of my company, President's Club, Rookie of the Year, all the awards, money, great house. Things were great, but I just knew that there was something else. Everybody asked, do you need to go see a counselor? Do you need a side gig? I know somebody who can help you. And so I really needed to kind of take a step back and figure out what was going to be best for me. And so, unfortunately, I had this surrender moment that started kind of the trajectory of, a huge change for me. Let me walk you back just a little bit. I want you to, please, if you're driving right now, don't close your eyes, pull over if you're doing anything like that. So I want you to remember a time in your life or times that something extremely difficult landed on your doorstep, knocked at your door. You weren't prepared for it. You didn't ask for it. Nobody set you up and gave you a playbook for it. Nobody walked you through it. Nobody came in, wrapped their arms around you and said, everything's going to be fine. Here's how you're going to move through this gigantic life struggle. I don't care if it's a, job loss, a job change, a divorce, something just difficult in your family or your relationships. A family member diagnosed with a disease or cancer, or that might be you. I don't know, and I don't care what that situation is. Everything is extremely important, and that really adds to your story. So I want you to just remember that time and remember how you felt. Remember how it hit you. And remember those moments around it and then afterwards. Were you able to make good decisions within kind of that storm that was occurring? What was happening that you were, unable probably to make the best decisions? Because a lot of times in those emotional hurricanes, our decision-making process is not able to make probably the best decisions that we would have made if things and the situation was totally different. And I think we can all agree on that. But remember kind of what that looked like and what that felt like. What were you desiring in those moments? Who was your tribe of people that you hung around with? Who was that group, that tight-knit top 5 people that you could go to and they'd have the answers, or they would have some sort of answers? Maybe they were good, maybe they were bad, maybe you didn't know the difference at that certain time. What was that advice? What were you told to do? What did your intuition tell you to do? What did your gut tell you to do? All those things contribute to us making the decisions that we make. And in those moments, change comes, whether you like it or not. You didn't want things to be different, but they are, whether or not you chose it. I think the greatest things in life come when we have those difficulties and struggles that come and land in our lap and land on our doorstep. It gives us it's an opportunity to move forward. Have you ever paid attention to your gut and what was happening in you, and you just prayed for something different to happen in your life, and all of a sudden something landed on your doorstep and you're like, God, I needed something better to be in my life right now, and why did this horrible thing happen to me? Why did this happen? Why did the job loss or the divorce or the disease or cancer or whatever? Why did this happen? Like I was asking, and I needed something better to happen. I wanted this. I wanted that better job. I wanted something, whatever that is. Fill in the blank for yourself. I have come to realize that those are the opportunities that we need to seize the most. We need to lean into the most, but they are uncomfortable. But it's not a situation that you cannot handle, but you cannot handle it on your own. You need that group of individuals, that tribe of people within your life that gives you hope, joy, love, support, and wait for it, accountability. Because the number one thing that we lose sight of is accountability. Think of New Year's resolutions. I'm going to do this. You put it down maybe on paper, or you say it and you have it up in your head, but that's the only place you have it. You try to hold yourself accountable, but it usually just fizzles out within, a couple of months, if not a couple of weeks. It's very, very difficult to keep ourselves accountable. One, because the consistency, and we only have what is in our own mind of what we think the situation looks like. I'm an expert at this, and this is how I've been doing it, and I'm not going to do it any different, but the end result has never turned out different. I am always going to be overweight. I am always going to have an awful job. I am always going to have an awful spouse. I am always going to, dislike blah, 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 blah. I'm always going to be in this rut. And so I want to take you back to those moments where the difficult situation happened. And I've had a lot of questions come in recently, and I really wanted to just kind of dive into them more. And if for those who have not kind of tuned in and watched anything that we've done before, go back. You can find me on Spotify and YouTube. You can also just look back and find, mostly everything that we've done on Facebook. But this is kind of a projection. I've created a community. I've created coaching classes. I've created things that I needed for about 9 years during and after my horrible, horrible situation that happened to our family, almost 10 years ago. And so if you're not aware of that, please go back, but you can always ask questions, send questions in this morning. We do a streaming, so you can certainly send them in. If you don't want to send questions in, you can always message me. That's fine. I may not be able to answer it at the moment, but I'll certainly get back to you after the podcast. So what I really want you to do is think about those moments that were so difficult for you and what your opportunity looked like in those moments to seize the day, to seize a better decision. Were you able to make the best decision? You don't know sometimes. It looks completely different when you're in that situation. And you sometimes don't know until you get out of it and have the opportunity to look back through different lenses with a different perspective. And that's very, very difficult to do because you've already moved on. The situation is gone, it's done. It's very difficult sometimes to then go, okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to look at this again. I'm going to relive it. So wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be a better mousetrap, a better strategy when you are in those situations to have a perfect network of people to reach out to, a community that you know is there for you. They're giving you hope and joy. They know what's going on in your life. They're actually intentional about helping you because it is a win-win-win situation in a community of people who thoroughly have your back. They have got you. They have arms wrapped around you. They have got you in these situations. Wouldn't it be better in those types of situations where you are just mentally, physically, emotionally just drained and you are burned? You don't know which way is the right way to turn. You've got a few friends that are giving you advice, go see this counselor, do this. I don't know what to do, but I'm here for you if you need a sounding board. Those are all great. But I think that you need to pay it, and I wouldn't push those friends away ever. Those are great. But what I'm trying to get you to look at is a bigger picture and a more precise, intentional picture of who you have in a community that you can go to when you have these types of things occurring. This happened to me many years ago, and I think a light bulb went on and I woke up. I had good friends and I still have very good friends, but there was something I needed something more. I needed something different. I needed different answers than what I was receiving from the people that were, my top 5 individuals that I spent my time with. If you can look at those situations and be like, okay, I didn't get the best advice, but let me figure out what that looks like now moving forward. And somebody asked me the other day, been working with quite a few women that been through divorce, been through the loss of a child, been through family deaths, loss of a job or a career, or just in a position where they didn't feel they were going anywhere in their current job. They weren't happy. They were just moving through the motions and on autopilot every single day. And so a woman reached out to me and asked me how I had the courage to be able to move forward, write a book, create the podcast of Advocacy and Hope, create the group, create now the community of Advocacy and Hope for Women. I also have one being developed for young adults. How did I have the ability to do that? And I think, one, I read a lot. I pray a lot. And whatever that means to you, I have a huge faith. And I sit back and listen to, what I'm told when I pray or when I have a situation that comes up. I listen. And not a lot of us have the ability to listen. But if you will do that, I guarantee the universe and whatever, whether it be God or whatever, is going to give you that answer. But we as human beings sometimes aren't able to sit back and listen because we want that answer immediately. And we just keep talking and talking. When I sat back, I gave myself grace and silence to ask those questions of, if I don't do this now, will I regret it? What does this look like? I've had a burning, an intuition, a gut feeling to move forward and create something that helps people, helps women, helps young adults after or during, life. Life is tough. If anyone tells you that they've never been through a struggle or a life challenge, they're not being truthful to themselves, and they're not being truthful to you. This is not a situation where I am coming to you and saying, oh, if you're broken and you're the only one on the planet who's been through something. No. Life takes us down and hits us with different things in different ways. And whatever that is significant and very important because it leads into your story and who you are and what you can share with others to be able to change the entire trajectory of their life. And you have no idea the power that sits in your hands because you have a story that might resonate with someone else. So to answer that question, I told this woman something after that surrender, and I had to completely surrender that I didn't know everything. I was willing to change. I was willing to lean into the uncomfortable and the unknown and welcome things with open arms. I was ready for a reality check. And I think that if we're not ready for that, that's okay. I knew at that point I was actually ready for that reality check at that moment and to lean in and to start that journey. We're not going to snap our fingers and everything is going to be great and, flowers and butterflies and rainbows and that kind of thing. If you want something different means something has to change. You have to give up something in your life for something better to replace it. If something isn't working, pivot and change. And I told this woman it was a reality check in me that I needed to make these changes because I was on autopilot. I was doing great. I was doing well. But there was something else that just I knew that I was set out to do. Believe in yourself, believe in you, invest in you, and your mind frame is the number one thing that's holding you back. And I told this woman, my thoughts were either going to move me forward or they were going to hold me back. And that's with all of us. What you think about is what will happen. For instance, after my daughter was diagnosed almost 10 years ago with malignant liver cancer and a rare genetic cancer gene at age 3, I remember the moment that I knew 24 hours or less into being thrown into the hospital system, our life completely changing. I didn't have control of my life anymore, what I felt. But I remember feeling I had to be grateful for everything that came into my life. I had to find gratitude. I had to find positivity. I had to honestly just change my mind frame. I had people come out of the woodwork telling me, you're in denial, you're in denial, you're in denial. That is the number one thing that people will tell you is you're in denial, you need to wake up. I was awake. I couldn't have been more awake. I was with my daughter 24/7 in that hospital for 4 weeks at a time. They would let us out for 24 to 48 hours, and she and I would come back for 4 solid weeks. I was awake, but I still had people telling me that I was in denial. I could go off on all kinds of different tangents of questions that I've been asked. But you have to, at some point, do a reality check and figure out what you want in your life. What does that look like and how do you get there? Because I'll guarantee you, if you think you're the expert at everything and you're the expert at what you do and you're not going to be willing to take advice or change or look at other options or pivot or look at failure as actually one of the best things that could ever happen to you and then figure out kind of how to maneuver and pivot and move forward, then you're not going to move forward. And I remember telling this woman that I had a choice. At that moment, when we were thrown into the hospital system and my daughter was diagnosed, I had a decision to make at that moment. Was I going to move forward? Was I going to move backwards? Was I going to be positive? Was I going to trust my intuition and gut? What did that look like? So, man, I didn't do everything right. And I now see that because I had the ability to look back through, different lenses with a different perspective and know that I didn't do everything right. But what I did do, I hold on to, and I know that it was the best that I could do at the moment. Now I've continued to learn. And I think if anybody out there is kind of resonating, we have opportunities to learn as we move forward. So, had somebody ask, what is the community that you have created? And once again, if you have been, listening to any of these Free Friday Q&A, I've tried to dive into it and really kind of talk about it. Go back, listen to some of these. Let me take a step back. I wrote my first book. It's called Out of the Gray, Into the Light. It's a mother's memoir of advocacy and hope. It is a true journey of what I went through, not what anybody else went through, what I went through when my daughter was diagnosed. It was through my lenses and through my perspective. So I just want to lay that out there. It's not telling you what anybody else thought, because it was my feelings. And I wrote it last year. I started it, 8.5 years after my daughter was diagnosed. It is a true journey through what we went through. It is my story. It is my heart. It is my soul. It is everything that we went through. I opened myself up. I'm raw. I'm real. I wanted to show people, one, that you're not alone. You can do this. You can get through life's challenges. I didn't do everything perfect. You're going to see this story through totally different lenses every time each person reads it. And the remarks and the responses and the reviews have been, I have chills right now. I have chills when I think about the responses that people have told me in regards to the book of the most amazing emotional roller coaster. I can't believe this is what you've gone through. It makes me put my life and what I've been through into perspective and think about things on a totally different level. I can't thank you enough for those comments, because you don't know how that's going to affect somebody else and how they're thinking about what they're going through right now. And if they have the courage to tell their story or even talk about it, and God knows, where do you go to talk to people? And I think more and more in these days, there isn't a lot of room to talk to people. We have social media, we type things. There's very weird, like, I don't know what that emotion was. I don't know how to take that. Like, we don't even have eye contact. We don't shake people's hands. It's a totally different world that is being developed for these kids and these individuals, which I don't want to get into that, but I want you to know that this book that I wrote is something so heartfelt. And I put my heart out on a plate for everybody to know what we went through. But I needed to heal myself from what we had been through. Here's a kicker. I hadn't gone through the first cancer diagnosis and all my emotions. I had put myself at the bottom of the totem pole. I had put all my self-care. I had put me at the bottom. One, I think that's what women do. We put ourselves at the bottom. We take care of everybody else. We make sure that we are liked. We make sure that everybody else is good. Everybody is taken care of. And then all of a sudden it comes to us and we are broken, lost, sick, angry, resentful. The list could go on and on. And I was in this book. When I started writing it, I remember thinking it was the best time to write the book. And then I remember starting to write it and I thought, I'm crazy. This is the worst time I could ever write this book. I'm so negative. I'm still in the middle of these feelings, this anger, this uncertainty, this fear. I'm still there. Like, why am I writing this book right now? I need to be at that perfect place in my life to write this book. And I remember I stopped everything numerous times. And I remember my editors were like, you can't stop. You can't stop. This is what it's about. This is what people need. And that's what I realized. This is what you need. This is what people out there need. This is what I needed. Nothing is going to be perfect. Things are going to be messy. Life is messy. It's supposed to be messy, and we figure it out. And we embrace those changes. We let things go from our life to allow something better to come in. And in writing this book, I remember thinking, I have to go with my mantra of what I've always said in life. If I can't be truthful, then what is it all for? I remember feeling regretful in life when I used to say that, because I remember, family members or, colleagues or people would ask me like, oh, don't get involved in conflict. Don't advocate. Don't stand up for yourself. Just go along with everything. Just don't cause any stirring. Don't cause any commotion. Just put your head down and just do your job. Just do it. It's not me. It's not me. And if you are out there resonating with this and somebody has been pushing you down, bullying you, telling you you should not be who you should be, I want you to know that I've been there. I've been there. And once again, if you haven't picked up this book, I don't want to sell the book. I'm working at doing a lot of proceeds for Make-A-Wish, for organizations that I can put the proceeds of this book back into. I am giving thousands of free copies away. Anyone who joins my community gets a free copy. I'm giving tons of these away now because I know that that's what's needed to happen, to just allow people to resonate and feel as though their story is really, really important and they can then move forward. And what does this look like? So when I had those questions of why did I write the book? What did it look like? How did I move forward? I mean, those are all such great questions. I've had questions. A woman contacted me last week and she said, Amy, I don't ever give myself any self-care. I've always thought that self-care was selfish. What do you call self-care? In the community that I built, we have 4 pillars. And it's truly getting you into alignment. And you're going to realize that the first pivotal pillar is personal. It's you. Invest in you. Invest in your health. Invest in your mind frame. Invest in getting yourself healthy from the inside out. Do something for you that helps you. That is not selfish in any way, shape, or form. I don't care what this looks like. The list can go on and on. Fill in the blank. I would be so much better throughout my day if I did XYZ in the morning, if I meditated, if I had time to work out, if I allowed myself to pray in the morning, if I didn't jump on my social media and my phone right when I got up, if I did XYZ, if I did something different, if I found gratitude, if I, had my affirmations in front of me to just do every morning, if whatever, fill in the blank. We as women do not give ourselves what we need. And then we're expected to have the weight of the world on our shoulders. Whether or not someone intentionally or unintentionally places it there, whether or not we ourselves, as our hardest critics, unintentionally or intentionally place it there? It's probably the latter one. It's probably that we're doing it to ourselves. And if you are out there and that is kind of what you have done, and you've just placed all this hardship on those brittle shoulders of yours, and you just can't hold anymore, and you just can't manage anymore, it's okay to take a step back, give yourself grace, offload some of that baggage, and then maybe kind of deal with it as it comes in and as it needs to be dealt with, because you can't manage it all at once, and it doesn't need to be managed at once. I remember realizing this, and it was one of those pivotal moments after my daughter was sick. And we had gone through the first cancer diagnosis, liver transplant, 6 rounds of chemotherapy, 70-some treatments under anesthesia, years in the hospital, stent changes every single month. They were going to have to do a second liver transplant. We never left the hospital. It was daunting. I remember just knowing that I needed to give myself grace and to take a step back, because we had 2 more cancer diagnoses coming up pretty quickly that I had to, and we as a family had to prepare. But I say I because there are roles in my family, and probably yours, that kind of who has the ability to handle certain things. And you're like, oh, Jimmy's not that person, or Ann's not that person. Who is your advocate in the family? Who is that person that stands up for themselves and for others? Who is that person that just could be there in those situations of fear and just absolute terror and still make good decisions? Who could be that person? You may not even know that answer, but it's a really good thing to start thinking about in your family dynamics, and even kind of digging in yourself. Because I was that person in my family. And I'm not saying that anybody else in my family, I'm not degrading or putting them down. But I had to step in and make a lot of decisions for my daughter that nobody else was there to make. Nobody else wanted to be there to make them. And that's totally okay. So when you're looking at those things that have really kind of taken you to your knees in your life, I want to take you back to the original thought process that we had, and thinking about, making those good decisions, and what did that look like? And then afterwards, what happened? Because we all have a story of what happened after the challenge that we went through, the family cancer, death, loss of a job, loss of a spouse, whatever it might be. What was that journey? Where are you now? Did you deal with everything? What worked? What didn't work? Did you have a good group around you? Those are the questions that keep coming in right now of, how did you find, those people? Like, I had a woman the other day saying, I love my friends, but I want to do something different with my life. I'm not happy with my job. And, my friends are just like, oh, do whatever makes you happy. Do what you have a passion for. Hey, you're good at baking. Why not, start a business? That's all great advice, but those are not the experts that you need to be listening to sometimes when it comes to those pivotal moments and those pivotal moves in your life. If you have another group of individuals and many more that are specific, and you can really kind of dive in and dig into, how do I do this? What does it look like? What's the structure of the business? Is that actually the best decision for me because I like baking? Would I start a business? Like, I don't know anything about business, but I like baking. So you have to be an expert at both things. So I'm just saying this to help people realize, because I've had a lot of questions coming in from, I think, women that are just ready for something different. I'm getting ready for the back half of my life. I'm 48 and I want to know what's next. So this is next. I think that creating this community was one of the best things that I've ever done, because I needed this kind of community the last many years after, my daughter's diagnosis, and how it changed me, and how those gut instincts were telling me that there was something more and something else and something that I was going to be able to do. There was purpose in the pain. There was purpose in, what had happened to us. I just had to be patient. I had to dig deep. I had to give myself grace. I had to step back and be silent and listen to those answers, and then figure out if I was willing to do it or not. Because there are those women that I've been speaking to that they're not ready. They're not ready to change. It's everybody else's fault. It's something else's fault. It's not them. It's everything else. It's everybody else that has held them back. And I want you to be in a position where you're willing to move forward and enter a community where your heart is opened and your mind is opened, and you really want to take this advice in from these other women that they're passionate. They have been at different stages in their struggles and what life has thrown at them, and they've been able to pivot and move. These are intentional groups that I have created. This is not something that you're just going to enter a group of people, moaning, groaning, griping, whatever. This is an intentional situation and intentional groups that I have created. So one, I had this voice come to me recently that said, Amy, you need to keep some of the groups, if not all of them, smaller. Keep them at 10 to 12 people versus, huge amounts of people that might not be effective for everyone. What did you want at those moments when you needed something so much? Well, I needed a smaller group. I think I look back now through different lenses, different perspectives, and I think that I would have not been as encouraged or felt like somebody was really caring about me if it was just this gigantic big group and there wasn't a lot of structure to it. I didn't really feel like I was going to be heard or seen. I've already not been heard. I've not been seen. I don't feel valuable. I don't feel like anybody's listening to me. I don't even know what I'm feeling. I don't know if my emotions are correct. I don't think that big group would have been good for me. And I don't think that big group sometimes is effective for most of us. So these groups are small. They're 10 to 12 people, women right now for these groups. That's what I'm focusing on right now, because we as women need to give ourselves self-care and the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to put me first right now. And this is not being selfish. Just putting yourself into a community of other women that are going to honestly be there for you. This is going to change the rest of your life. And you'll either want it or you won't want it. But I am working with those women that do want that change. They do want something better. Maybe they have been wallowing and struggling and wandering around in what they've been currently going through and going, I'm still here. I don't know what next. I don't know what to do next. The counselor's done this. My friends have, they've offered different options, but things just haven't worked. I've gone to networking groups. I didn't feel they were on my side. I went to these other networking groups and it was just, business women and, they just talked about their business and they traded business and then we all went home. I need something more. I need something that's going to get me over that wall. I need something that's going to get me out of that stuck position that I'm in. That's what I needed for several years, but it's what I really needed almost 2 years ago when a light bulb went on and I needed to be responsible and I needed to have that reality check. The small group of this community keeps things really, really tight. It has the safety that you need. It has the opportunity for you to share, because what we're doing is we are allowing each woman to be on kind of the showcase each week. And we go through, what you're struggling with, what you're, looking forward to, what are your goals, who is currently keeping you accountable, the whole thing of what this looks like, what you need, like honestly, what you need. And we're looking at the 4 pillars and seeing which one of those right now you're needing the most kind of support with. And once again, I'm going to remind you of the pillars. So those pillars: personal, relationship, financial, and spiritual. Those are the 4 pillars, and we dive deep into them. But with these small groups, it's asking you to figure out, what do you need right now mostly? Are you getting ready to lose your house, bankruptcy, divorce? What's happening? And you're literally, that finances is all you can think about, and you need to figure out, a side hustle or a change of job, or you lost your job and you just really need to figure out how to be able to pay the bills, and then you'll deal with other things after that. It's totally fine. That's what we will focus on. And we will give you lots of resources, structure, guidance, advice, and help you kind of put that plan, that map together, that playbook completely together, to where then you will know what you need to do. You will have assignments for the next week. You will be held accountable by myself and by the other individuals in the group. And it's a positive accountability. This is not anything negative. We don't bring any negative energy. We don't bring any toxicity. We don't bring drama. This is business focused individuals, successful women, those that have been through tons of different things in their life: failure, crisis, death. I mean, things from their childhood. So you have so many different things that are going to really welcome you into this group. And I put these groups together very articulated. I really have an intentional eye of putting these groups together and what's going to help you. So the next week, the next person gets to kind of take the stage, but you will be teed up on knowing a few things about them, so you are prepared for those calls. And these calls for the community are 1 call per week, and it's going to be about 90 minutes per week, 60 minutes at the least, and 90 minutes at the most. I'm going to give some leeway because we have had some longer meetings that just needed a little bit longer, but I won't keep you more than 90 minutes once a week. If you have time for all the other things that you put in life, this 60 to 90 minutes once a week is going to change your life, because we are very dedicated. We are very structured. This is intentional for the benefit of the person that is being featured that week and how to help them best. And if we take a step back and we're like, okay, I don't know if I have the best resources, but I know somebody who has the best resources for you. Let's pull that person in. Let's get those resources. Let's get that advice. Let's connect you with that person or those different people or those different companies. So you then get to do your vetting and figure out what's going to be the best for you to move forward with what you're currently dealing with. Then we move on. And so you get the opportunity about every 10 or 12 weeks to feature yourself again. And we may tweak this as we go, because I really want this to be ongoing. I don't want you to feel as though you don't have, but every quarter you get to be on stage for yourself. So these have been a work in progress on what everybody needs and what you need when you need it, but it is holding you accountable. So there are, you know, additional emails, additional questions, additional phone calls at the end of the week before the weekend starts to help you think about your week and what has happened during your week and how we can help you move forward with those challenges that you're continually having. You get then the weekend to kind of think about what that looks like, and then you get to move forward in, putting those strategies together. This has been imperative because I know how lonely sometimes those evenings and weekends can be if you just don't have anybody, in your life, and those voices are just they're not clear enough. You're not figuring out the vision well enough, and you just need this tight knit group to wrap their arms around you and be there for you. And that's what it is. So that was a long answer, but it's going to help you understand the community that I've built a little bit better and what the intentionality is, what the 4 pillars are, and you get to really kind of figure out what am I dealing with now. Had a woman reach out to me a couple of months ago, and we've been in contact. Her biggest hurdle was self-love and self-care, and she was going through a divorce, and she had given everything to her family, everything to the kids, everything to everybody else, and she realized that maybe she hadn't been the best wife. Maybe she hadn't done certain things that she needed to do as a wife because she was so busy giving back to the family and working and everything for the kids that they needed. I mean, that is a full-time job right there, just taking care of the house and the kids and schedules and whatever that looks like, meal prep and cooking and cleaning, and oh my goodness. And then you throw another job into it. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. So she had never given herself any self-love. Now that she was going through the divorce, she was having huge anxiety and panic attacks. She couldn't sleep well. I took a step back and we went through a 20-minute free kind of consultation. We dug in deep to kind of figure out what she needed most. And it was lovely. It was great to hear that she wanted to give back to herself because now she knew that the divorce was inevitable. She didn't feel there was anything that she could do to save it. So how was she going to save herself? How was she going to change the patterns moving forward? Because she felt as though if she would have given herself a little more self-love and a little more time and a little more dedication, it could have maybe portrayed to the rest of the family, and the situations could have turned out different. And that is 100% true. I mean, you project, what you are giving yourself. If you're not giving yourself any love, any time, you're probably not projecting a lot of love. And that was tough for her to understand, that she thought she was loving everybody in her life so much, but because she wasn't loving herself and she wasn't giving herself, any of that self-care and self-love, it really just bled negatively into the family and caused a complete divide. Happens more times than I wish that I could even, admit. But no matter what you're going through, the divorce rate is high. Side note, when we were in the hospital, we were told that 90% of couples get separated who have a child diagnosed with cancer or a disease. And I remember at that moment just wanting to fall to my knees and feeling as though, crap, we're doomed. We're destined. You just told me my journey. And I talked to these women, and especially the one that was going through the divorce, or getting ready to, because she knew it was inevitable. The process was probably not gonna stop. She needed to give herself self-love. So we really dug into what she was currently doing as her morning and evening routine, how she was dealing with her anxiety. She had been through tons of counseling. She had opened herself up. She had read books. It wasn't getting her to the next stage. It wasn't getting her over that wall. It wasn't getting her to a point where she wanted to wake up in the morning and actually even face the day. We want to get you past that point. I remember kind of introducing her to Breathworks or Heartworks. That was one of the most pivotal things I've ever done in my life. And so if you're asking, what is that? That's something that we will do in the community, and we really discuss and talk about in the community, because it will change your life in ways that you have never thought about, because your subconscious is keeping some of these, very difficult, terrifying memories inside of you, and you think that you've put them under the rug and gotten rid of them and that they're never going to come back to you. But they do. They're always there. They're digging at you. They are causing damage emotionally, physically, spiritually in your life, because you haven't dealt with them, and you're not giving yourself the self-love, and you're not giving yourself the ability to just rid your mind and body of all of the things that are just holding you back. And this woman did a Heartworks session, just like I did. And her results were riveting. I remember just chills when she was telling me her results. And I remember mine, of just ridding something, just leaving me that I didn't realize I was just harboring. I knew I was harboring. I just didn't know how much damage it was causing me. I couldn't deal with it because I didn't get closure from a certain situation that was so painful for me. And I just needed closure of why this person hurt me so bad, why they wanted to just literally leave me in disarray after being such good friends for quite some time, and just walk away and never tell me why, or never, get closure. There are always going to be these types of things that are going to happen to us. But I remember speaking with this woman, and got chills again. It was amazing what she told me her response of this Breathworks was. And we teach you little things that you can do during the day to kind of decrease that anxiety and stress, and just things that you don't have to be in those sessions for, you can do on your own. So these are things that we're able to just offer you and be like, here, be able to do this. And then you've got the community to come into to then find out new things. I have really had a huge success and a love for poetry healing, poetry and writing healing. And a lot of people would say, Amy, I'm not a writer. I'm not a poet. Totally. But this will blow your mind. It will change your life. And we're doing some of these sessions in the community, and we've got some amazing individuals, some experts that come in and help, and just this will clear your mind and get you to think on another level. Again, it will help you rid things that are holding you back, that maybe in a counseling session, you don't know how to articulate it. You don't know how to talk about it. You don't know how to verbalize it. I get it. I was there. The counseling helped in a certain way. The books helped. I'm just talking about extra things that we can do to be able to get into an emotional, spiritual, mental balance with ourselves. Get into alignment. And once you're in alignment on all these different levels, your life will never be the same. So we're going to do a lot of alignment. And I told this woman, there are more things that we can now do. And she's feeling so great. Her mind is clearer. She's got less anxiety, less stress. She doesn't stress the day. She doesn't want to stay in bed. She's getting there. So what I'm telling you is there's so many different things that you can do in whatever stage you're in. I mean, I needed a lot of this back when my faith and my spirituality was being literally tested to the point where I thought we were just being dumped off in the hospital and dumped off with these diagnoses, and c'est la vie, have a great life, hope you make it, if it doesn't kill you. So Wherever you need that help, that's where this community is coming in. Okay. Somebody asked me the other day, and I've explained it in a few ways, but somebody wanted to know, Amy, who is this community, for? Well, it is for women. It is for whatever stage you are going through in life. It is to bring you into that connection with a group of women. There is no drama. There's no judgment. We are actually supporting and uplifting each other because that is our mentality. If you're drama driven and you are just going to bring all this negativity and drama and judgment into the group, it's probably not the best community for you. I need you to maybe go through some coaching to be at a different stage to join the community. So I'm doing some one-on-one coaching as well that is helping you get into alignment one-on-one, that is going to help you come into this group and then be able to get more out of the group, because that's what you need to do. That's the purpose of this, is to get the most out of this community that you can get out of, but you need to be in the right mind frame. So we do a 20-minute free discovery, really dig deep, talk about what your needs are, what your challenges are, what pillar, you're really needing to focus on right now. And then we do some one-on-one coaching. But this community is honestly that place where we make changes. We move mountains. This is a powerful community and group. This is not an AA meeting where you come and gripe and groan about what you've been through. Oh, no. This is a powerful group that is going to then move you to the next step of where you want to be, setting goals, setting dreams, actually achieving them, making sure we're jotting them down, notating, holding you accountable. But if you are in your life currently now and you are just burnt out, you're broken, you're uncertain, maybe you have recently been through something that has just devastated you, maybe you went through something years ago that you're just, I don't know, there's something burning inside of you that you'd love to have a community to help you move forward in a more intentional way. You don't honestly right now want to feel like you need to earn your value or your worth. No one should be telling you what you are worth and how much value you have or don't have. If you feel that the universe and life is just chosen your career and that you're stuck and that your family, is unwilling to work with you and hear anything else about what you're wanting to do in life, or you're wanting to change careers, or you're wanting to move, or you're wanting to do something different, if they're just, and I had someone come to me the other day that was like, I can't move. I can't change careers. We've got all these bills. We've got this. There's nothing for me, Amy. I'm just stuck. Then this community is for you. You are perfect for this community. We're going to move you forward into something that you have never, ever thought possible. If you feel that you've never been able to be fully expressed, you've never been able to tell your story, you have something to tell and just people aren't listening. Maybe you don't have the right network of people and you're just searching for that network of people that is going to change your entire life. This is the group for you. If you feel as though you just always have to move the flag forward, goals, constantly. And then you end up one day realizing that the company you work for does not value you at all. You're just a number, you're a dime a dozen, and c'est la vie. If you want to leave, don't let the door hit you on the way out. You feel just stuck in those situations. If you feel as though you're just telling yourself that you're supposed to be in that situation that you're not happy with, this is the community for you. I was really surprised to hear that over 75% of people, and that's men and women. I don't know if the study actually broke it down, but it was 75, if not 76%. It's probably more now, of people do not like what they do during the day. And I would assume that's their job, their career, whatever they're doing. They're an entrepreneur, business owner, they work for somebody else. It's a huge, staggering number. So this community is right for you if that's where you are. If you're just not trusting your gut feeling, if you feel as though you just need somebody else to help you figure out if this is the right thing that your gut is telling you, this is the community for you. If you know what you want to do, you're passionate, but you're like, Amy, I just don't know how to get there. I don't know how to create this. I don't know how to create that passive income. I don't know how to buy properties. I don't know how to, get that bank loan. I need more connections in that. Or I don't know how to get over the grief and the sorrow and what I've been through. And I want to get to that other step because I think there's something else. Then this is the community for you. There's so many things that we can help you with, and there's no time but the present. Don't look back a year from now and wish that you would have reached out. All right. We're going to take this to the next Free Friday. We've had more questions probably come in, but I don't want to keep this more than about an hour. I really wanted you to learn about the community. I wanted you to learn what we've been doing, what has been happening. So yes, the first community is for women. The second one is for young adults. We'll have more information about that. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about myself or my book, if you'd like to order the book, you certainly can. I think it's a really good thing to read the book before coming into the community, but you will receive a copy of the book when you get in the community. Maybe you could pass it to a friend because you've already read it. Maybe you could just gift it to somebody. So you will receive a copy when you come into the community. But you can go to my website, learn more about me, and also, like I said, purchase the book. You can also, it'll take you to Amazon, all the major retailers. My website is amypost.com. It's amypost.com. You can also send me an email if you are interested in just a consultation, just diving into that 20 free minutes of just seeing if this might be right for you. Email me at amydpost@postbooks.co. So it's amydpost@postbooks.co. That's going to send you back a personal email that is going to have resources. It'll have forms to fill out. It'll have information about the community, the coaching. You can join our free newsletter. We put a newsletter out every Tuesday that will have a lot of our featured podcasts. And if you want to be on the podcast, somebody who wants to be on the podcast, I do a live podcast every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. The community meetings, like I said, are once a week. They're going to be 60 to 90 minutes, depending on kind of the needs of that. And then we are going to have those one-on-one coaching sessions of what works for your schedule. So when you email me, you will get that personal email back. We'll kind of go from there. We will get into the discovery and see what we can do. But if you need somebody to pray for you, if you are just going through a hard time right now, something difficult happening in your life, if you will reach out to me, either you can message me on Facebook, message me through the social media, you can email me. I would love to just talk to you and just kind of see where we are and what I can do to help you. And, I'm here for you. So thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for all the questions that have come through before and during. And I hope good health for you. I hope that you move through the challenges that you're currently dealing with effectively. I want to welcome you, and I would be so grateful to welcome you to a community that just truly needs and wants you. So thank you again. Have a wonderful Friday, a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.